Hello everyone, welcome to Explore and Traverse. My name is Mike, I'll be your host for today, and today we're going to be learning about mountain forecasting and conditions. But before I begin, if you've seen any of my past videos, hit that subscribe button. If you just like me, hit that subscribe button. If you feel pity for me, hit that subscribe button. I would love it. So let's move on to what we're going to be talking about, mountain forecasts and conditions. And the things you'll be looking out for when it comes to the conditions are going to be the temperature, that's first and foremost, precipitation as well, rain, sleet, snow. Something else you'll need to know is wind, direction as well, snowpack, and the snow that will be up there, as well as fire and smoke. Those are both key when it comes to the elevation. You'll also need to know your elevation because sometimes that forecasting key is going to be a little bit off from your true elevation. Something else to consider is road conditions. We'll go over that, and the terrain you'll be in. So let's just jump right into it and learn about which trip we're going to choose using trip reports. So now that we've checked out some of the conditions that we're going to be watching out for, let's identify which hike we're going to do. Now, when identifying a hike, you're going to look for three main things. You're going to look for the distance, you're going to look for the elevation, and you're also going to look for the different features that are on the trail, whether that's water crossings, ridge lines, basins. That depends on where you camp. Basin's going to be a lot colder than, say, a ridge, which is going to be very windy. So know the features of the trail you're going to be on, as well as when you're camping, where you're camping, and where the trail goes. So let's jump right in and find out which trail we're going to be doing. Some of the best sites that I enjoy are All Trails. That's a national site. A lot of people go to it. Hiking Project is another one. It's a branch off mountain project, a climbing site. It's new and upcoming. A lot of people are using it. However, it's not as nationally recognized as, say, All Trails. Another state one that's pretty good is Washington Trails Association. Since I'm at Washington, that's a go-to I do. That one has the bulk of most of the trails, so you can find out which one you want to do from there. 14ers is another one. 14ers is a great site for, say, Colorado-based climbers. And then some of the trip reports and routes that you can be doing. Summit Post is a great resource that I enjoy using. It has pictures, topo, recent trip reports. Same thing from Cascade Climbers. Everything Cascade Climbers are basically trip reports based in forums. So if you want to just check out Cathedral Ridge, hit up Cascade Climbers, type in Cathedral Ridge. That's what's going to pull up. You can see the most recent trip report. Now, the reason why I'm going over these sites, we're not talking about identifying hiking, we're talking about identifying conditions. If you go to All Trails actually has trip reports based in each of these locations, as well as what conditions you should be expecting from from season to season. So All Trails is a great resource. Hiking Project, as well as WTA, all those will have recent trip reports. The issue with trip reports and conditions is sometimes you're going to be looking for a trail that might not have been posted or having a trip report within the next year. So you might not have any idea using just trip reports, but that's a good place to start. From those trip reports, we have an idea of what conditions we should be expecting. Another good location to find out what conditions you should be expecting are park websites, National Park Service. If I'm at Rainier, and I want to go up to the top of, I want to summit Rainier, Mount Rainier National Park, head up the weather, or even go to any trip report on some of the websites I mentioned earlier. Now, besides knowing the current conditions of that location you're going to, you're also going to want to know the conditions of the roads. If you can't get there, it's not worth a hike. If it adds another 10 miles and you weren't forecasting that, that's also a big problem. So I always check out Washington State Department of Transportation up here in Washington. Each state has their own. National Park Service will also have conditions on when each road opens seasonally, as well as time-wise. During some seasons, some parks will close the roads down after 6 p.m. and then start shoveling snow off all the way up until 8 a.m. until they open up. But past the road conditions, you're also going to be looking up avalanche conditions. So since I'm here in the Northwest, I go to NOAA, or Northwest Avalanche Center, and they'll give you current conditions on what you should be expecting for the location you're going, as well as the elevation. You also want to check the elevation you're going, because the elevation will change the avalanche type or the avalanche danger for that day. And another great resource is USGS. And the reason why I like USGS is they cover a lot of the more natural disaster type issues that you might come in contact with. So if I am on USGS during fire season, I need to check out where the wildfires are. I can't go to a location that's covered in smoke and fire. So that's a great place to go. Droughts, if you need that information for long hikes. You even have information on floods, landslides, and past all those current conditions, you're going to now need to know about forecasting and how to forecast these conditions for the day of that you're there. NOAA has probably the most weather stations of anywhere in the US. So they have up-to-date weather. You're able to click in locations. You're also able to get long time frames of what you should be expecting. And the other thing is it's kind of interactive with you. So if I'm looking at Mount Rainier, back to Mount Rainier, it'll give you afternoon and nightly temperatures as well as condition reports throughout the day. And so if my hike isn't set until 7 days out, I can keep up on the conditions from there a week before. The other cool thing is, say I can't find a location at any of the other places I'm looking, I can just click on a topo. And that will usually allow me to get the weather update for that location I just clicked on. So if you're not finding any information out of any other forecasting sites, this is a good one just to get a kind of good idea of any summit you're looking for that might not be on any of the big sites. For doing NOAA, I typically actually Google it because Google is great and it might not tell you exactly or the best information, but it'll give you a good idea on where to start. After NOAA, my second favorite is Mountain Forecast. Mountain Forecast is a great resource. It works kind of the same way. You can type in locations. You can even click on locations. Any of the blue markers will tell you the weather that's expected at the summit of that area. And when I'm looking at Mountain Forecast or NOAA, I tend to do the more conservative type estimate. So if it says 30 degrees and 40-mile-an-hour winds, and I go to another one and it says 50-mile-an-hour winds and 20 degrees, I'm going to go with that 40-mile-an-hour winds and 20 degrees just to be safe, to know what type of equipment and gear I need to bring. Another seldom used one that I really like, it's a little bit more intuitive and user-friendly, is Weather Underground. However, it's not going to be as accurate usually, but you do get radar readings as well as a few other perks that aren't as right there on the screen with the other two websites. So, past actually going on the forecasting, you can also pay. So Garmin is what I use. I pay for a subscription fee, and if I haven't been at my computer in 5 days because I'm out there, I just hop on Garmin and they'll give me updates. It's been really useful on when I'm seeing something that I'm not used to and checking here to make sure that everything is on key or I need to leave soon. Another paid site is Gaia. Backcountry Navigation is another great site. Both are apps on your phone. And then one other one that I'll recommend isn't really a phone or an inReach, but paying for a guide. I always recommend paying for a guide because they know the location, they know what to look for, they've been there before and they know it. Plus you're helping out a community member or someone who's actually done a lot of work within the climbing and mountaineering community. So I always recommend a guide. They know a lot more, you'll learn a lot from them, so it's a win-win. And then last but not least, something else that kind of keep in mind is just to be adaptive. When you're out there and things start changing, you're not used to, really understand clouds and how they form, and what to be expecting whenever you're seeing something you might not know, or when you see clouds off in the distance. Just understanding clouds is actually really important when you're in the mountains. Another thing that I recommend is either asking locals when you're down there or asking someone who's on the trail when you're going up. If they've been to that location, they know what conditions are going to be, what you should be expecting. So ask anybody on the trail coming back, make friends, get to know them. And then last but not least, I just want to emphasize know when to leave. If you see something coming in you're not used to, if you get into conditions that you weren't prepared for, don't push on, just understand your risk, know that you should go home, and prepare for it better next time. So I always recommend knowing when to leave and booking it out as soon as you're in some place that's a little bit more uncomfortable or some place that you haven't been before. Thank you everyone for joining me on this episode of Explore and Traverse. If you like this, hit that like, hit that subscribe button, leave a comment with what you felt. Also, feel free to leave a comment with what websites you use to learn about forecasting and conditions in the mountains.